Welcome to the Agility in Real Life podcast, Take 5 in Real Life. Now your hosts, Mike Studeman, Jeff Lee, and Pat Campbell.
Hi, and welcome back to the Take 5 IRL podcast. I'm Jeff Lee, one of your hosts and a partner at agilityIRL.
And I'm Mike Studeman, another partner at agilityIRL and your co-host for this episode. Pat is not joining us as he is exploring the land of Australia and New Zealand as we record.
He is. And apparently he did not reach out and say he demanded to be on this episode from Down Under. So we may have to evaluate that when he comes back. But no, he's enjoying some well-earned time away. And we're going to be talking about outsourcing in this episode and when you should do that, when you should not do that, what kind of considerations you should be thinking about when making that decision. So, Mike, what's the headline? Should companies be outsourcing their work?
Well, before I answer that one, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. Are we talking about outsourcing as in giving your product development function to another company? Or are we talking about offshoring, where you have some offshore people working on teams? Given that Pat's in an offshore state, I figured I should start with that.
Yeah, we are. So offshoring could be outsourcing, right? But we're talking about outsourcing inclusively. So it is that part of giving your product development to somebody else, regardless of where they are located.
Yeah. So now back to your question, and this might end up being the shortest episode in history. I don't think that there's an argument to be made for outsourcing product development generally. So the short answer is, should we outsource product development? No. I think you have to own it in the 21st century. Now, I will open the door a little bit in that if you have a product maybe that's in its sunset state and you're purely supporting it, it's no longer core to your business, then maybe you think about having someone take it over. But I just can't come up with an argument for giving away your knowledge and your competitive advantage here in 2024. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the key point you made there is if something that's core to your company, right? Like if you want to outsource your, phone support, that kind of thing, it's one thing. But if you're talking about the core products that are part of your business and how you're going to present yourself as a company to the market, you're giving away a lot there. Maybe you're a small company and you can't hire the people that you need to do it yourself, don't have the right skills. Okay, fine. But I'd want to have a strategy for bringing that in-house. Mary and Tom Poppendick, lean agile development fame, talk about software development being a knowledge creation process. Who do you want to be creating that knowledge? People within your walls or some other company that can turn over the staff anytime they want to?
Absolutely. And not to be too dark in this episode, I think once you've outsourced, it's really difficult to bring that knowledge back in-house because the knowledge, to the Poppendike's point, it is created in the moment and then it kind of fitters away as various people move on and off of the effort. And we see that even when product development is not outsourced. I think outsourcing only compounds it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on outsourcing and agility? Is it possible to outsource and still be agile?
Wow, that's deep. I my gut is no. And the reason my gut is no is I just think it puts too much delay between those that are making the decisions and those executing on the decisions. I also think it puts a huge, a very, very lengthy feedback loop, if one exists at all, between the customer and product development.
Yeah, and you haven't even talked about the contractual part of that.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to talk about, I was leaving that easy.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, contractually, there are ways to write contracts in a mutually beneficial, agile kind of manner good luck getting them through both legal departments and all the chains of leadership, right? You just have to have a special relationship and a lot of trust, which, I've worked with a lot of companies with a lot of outsourcing, and usually there isn't a lot of trust there. So, and again, we're not talking about Agile for the sake of Agile or Agile as a process. We're talking about Agile as a way to be adaptive to change and adaptive to market needs. And so now we're talking about your core product not being adaptive to market needs, and you're not getting the information that you need that's being built as the product is being built.
Well, and I
How
think,
about that?
no, I think, Jeff, I think you're spot on. There's great irony, though, in what you said. We have to write a detailed contract because we don't trust the party that we're entering into business to, or entering into business with, but we're
Mhm.
giving them our product development function,
Mhm.
which the irony is thick, right? The
Yeah.
irony.
Yeah. So I think to summarize this up, if Pat is meeting with people in Australia, and I don't think he is, to outsource the Take5IRL podcast, we're in alignment. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, I would. Well, I think we turn into our audience, right? You always ask the customer in terms of the podcast, but generally, outsourcing product development, I would recommend against.
Absolutely. So you're welcome to give us some comments if you think this would be a better podcast if we outsourced it to some Aussies. Feel free to let us know, but we'll wrap it up at this point. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Take5IRL podcast. If you like it, please go ahead and share it with someone, as well as like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, leave us a comment or a suggestion for a future episode. Again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to you joining us next time on the Take5IRL podcast.